Hey there, my name's Chad. This is the Cloudblock project, a step-by-step guide. I will walk you through it. This is the prerequisite before we get to the cloud-specific instructions. So whether you're using Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, or Oracle Cloud, you'll want to do this first. This guide is specific to Windows users. That's okay. Start from the GitHub page if you're going to follow along. So go to my GitHub page for the project. I'll make sure links to everything are included in the video description. To follow the prerequisite guide, you can click on any of the providers. I'll pick one at random. Sure, this one's fine. And then scroll down to the step-by-step instructions. We're going to be using Windows Subsystem Linux. Windows Subsystem Linux is a really nice way to interact with Terraform and the cloud providers. It's compatible with all four, and that's why I've targeted this tool for our deployment. The first thing we need to do is launch an elevated PowerShell prompt. We do that by finding PowerShell. I just typed in the word power, right click and run as administrator. It's going to ask me to continue. I'll say yes. We need to copy this command and paste it in. It's a long command. Make sure you grab the whole thing. Copy it, and to paste in PowerShell, right click. All right, that feature has been enabled. You'll notice here there's a flag at the end or an argument. It says no restart, otherwise our machine would be restarting right now. You will need to restart. You'll need to reboot your Windows computer. I've already done that, so I'm gonna skip the step. But please, if you haven't enabled Windows Subsystem Linux before, go ahead and restart now. I'll be moving on. I'll move back over to the left. And there you go. If you want to reboot that way, you can do it. We need to launch a regular PowerShell prompt. We no longer need this elevated prompt. I'll close this out. Find PowerShell again, and a left click for the regular prompt. Let's download Ubuntu 18.04. That's a version of Linux that's perfectly compatible with the tools we'll be using. This should download fairly quickly. I'll be back when it's done. Okay, that wasn't too bad. It took a little over a minute, and it has been downloaded. We need to rename the package from .apex to .zip. Go ahead and do so. I've already done it. That's why this error message popped up, but go ahead and do it. Next, we need to expand the archive. We need to expand the zip into a directory. Paste the command in, and we'll expand it. CD or change into the directory. And then execute the installer. This installer will take a few minutes. Eventually it's going to prompt us to create a username, and I will be back for that portion. Okay, that took like 30 seconds. That was awesome. Enter a username. We'll create a username for Windows Subsystem Linux. Keep it simple. I'll use Chad, and I'll create a password. We'll reference this password quite often in the following guides, so remember it. And we are in our Windows Subsystem Linux environment. If you ever close this window and you need to get back in, PowerShell, WSL, that will open up Windows Subsystem Linux. But there's one more command, CD, and then the squiggly line at the top left of the keyboard. Generally, hit enter. That'll take you to the home directory, and that's usually where we start any of our tasks, the home directory. All right, and exit to get out. Okay, Ubuntu's been installed, and we created the username and password when prompted. Now we'll install Terraform, Git, and create an SSH key pair. Let's add Terraform's apt key. It's asking us for that password we just created. Anytime you run sudo commands, like this command here, or I should say with the first time you run sudo commands, or if you haven't run sudo in a while, you'll get prompted for that password. Next, we need to add the Terraform repository. Terraform is created by a company called HashiCorp. Just a fun fact. While that's going, I'll highlight the next one. This shouldn't take too long. I'll be back when it's done. Okay, that's done. And let me copy that one more time. So we're going to copy and paste. This will now install Terraform in Git. Terraform and Git are installed. We will clone my Cloudblock project. The project has been cloned. It's a little difficult to see in PowerShell for whatever reason, but if you ls or list with a -l, you can see the Cloudblock folder. And if you ls-l Cloudblock, you can see the contents, and those match the contents in the project on github.com. Finally, we'll create an SSH key pair. It's going to ask us where we want to store our SSH key. Just hit enter and enter again. We don't need a passphrase, and then confirm that we're not using a passphrase one more time. The SSH key has been generated. If you ever want to see the contents of your public key, you can highlight, right-click to copy, type in the command cat, and then paste the location of the public key. You'll never really need the private key. You don't need to expose it or know it. That's just stored locally on disk. And that's it for the prerequisite video. We've got Windows Subsystem Linux installed. We've gone into that environment and installed Terraform and Git, cloned the project, and created our SSH key pair. Follow along for part 2 with one of the cloud providers. I'll have the description. I'll have links in the description for those. Take care, everyone.